Hi guys, welcome and welcome back to the channel. My name is Cierra. I love to talk about reading and writing. Writing as an author and writing on Substack. So this video is going to be the first video. Is this the first video? Let me check my calendar, y'all. Hold on. This is going to be the second video. This is the second video of my helping you guys create your stories along the way. So this video is going to be about creating your theme. So when it comes to thinking about your theme, there are different things that can be your theme. So some examples are like guilt, pride, mental health, love, self-love, family, trust. There's so many varieties of different themes that you want to cover for your story. It could be about forgiveness, revenge, anything really. There's a variety of different themes that your story can be about. And I just want to dive into that and how to kind of create your story centered around the themes and what you would like for things to come up. And so throughout your story, there's going to be different themes that kind of correlate with different story beats, or at least that's how I think of it and how I take into account when it comes to writing my story. And I use that through the Save the Cat method and I do that through the Save a Cat method. So breaking down the story beats and relaying that to the different themes and how that theme navigates throughout the story. So first, just spend 15 minutes to just come up with a few themes that are intriguing to you for a story. It doesn't have to be a specific, it could be a specific story that you're working on. But if you're just thinking in general, just write down any type of theme. I'm going to be kind of basing it off of my second novel in my series. I wrote the first draft. It's definitely going to be reconfigured. It's going to be fleshed out a lot more, but I will be writing down themes for my second story that I want to have when it comes to fleshing it out and editing it. So let's go ahead and dive into the first 15 minutes. See you then. Okay, so some themes I wrote down. I wrote down forgiveness, love, friendship, confidence, having the audacity, strength, union, trust, acceptance, trauma slash mental health, and sibling relationships. So go ahead and type in the comments now, what themes did you come up with for this first part of the video? So now we're gonna dive deeper into this theme, into the themes. And now we're gonna pick the best themes that can correlate with an actual story. So think in detail of what themes kind of branch off of each other, kind of like a tree. So like if one theme is kind of like a base for other things. So like, for example, I'll use a different example, not my themes that I wrote down. But like say if your theme is family, a branch of that base of family could be like interpersonal relationships. It could be trauma. It can be communication, his family history. So think of like different things that kind of branch out that tie to a specific or that kind of tie to the themes that you have listed. So which ones kind of like blend together into like a very like cute cohesive pattern, like a blanket or a quilt. I don't know. Let's go ahead and spend some time doing that. Okay, so for me, the ones that kind of correlate the best are love, confidence, having the audacity, strength, trust, mental health in the trauma, and sibling relationships. I feel like um, trust goes both ways, not just trusting yourself, but trusting other people, which is why I believe it's kind of tied to sibling relationships, because Zofria kind of struggles with trusting one of her brothers who does show up in the story. I have him within the first chapter, so I feel like delving more into that relationship between them. And not only does Zofria struggle with trusting herself into making certain decisions about her career moving forward, but trusting a family member after not having them in her corner for a huge amount of time. So I feel like it goes both ways, but it also goes towards trusting the person that she loves, which is our male main character in the story, and trusting that this person does have her best interest at heart, but also just trusting that he won't put her in compromising situations. So kind of trusting her own self to trust him. So I feel like that all like branches off with each other, which also is tied to her mental health and her mental state when it comes to the fact that she had been by herself for so long. I'm gonna give this tidbit, but Zofria, she loses her mom towards the end of high school, and all of her brothers are significantly older than her, so there's like huge age gaps between her and her brothers, and they're all adults doing their own thing. But one of the youngest ones, he lives closer in the area, but he still has his own life, but he is like slowly getting back into her life, and she is kind of struggling with the fact that she has been alone, having to navigate life on her own without any help from anyone around her, but also being open to trust this sibling, even though, her siblings haven't been there to help her for a long ass time. So I feel like that's a huge thing for her as a character that I want to bring up more in the story, because it is a romance story, but I feel like that trust, not only within herself, but also within her sibling relationships, is a huge catalyst as to why she doesn't trust, I'm just going to say his name, Addison. So I feel like that needs to be reconfined, refigured, and fleshed out more when it comes to having scenes of her and her brother more so along the way, and kind of really honing in on why she doesn't trust her brothers, having those issues of communicating with her siblings, because I do talk about in one part in the first draft of her trying to contact them, but no one responding to her, but flesh that out more, like show instead of tell that she has issues contacting them. So like possibly her calling another brother and going straight to voicemail, probably reaching out to another brother after she posts something online that's kind of depressing, but then he ends up like liking it because he doesn't understand the messaging behind it or doesn't understand the situation, and then still not contacting her afterwards to like check in on her. So like showing that a little bit more in the story. Yeah. So which ones blend well for you, and how can you use that to show more within the story versus just telling about certain things, like what things go together and what branches off, so then when it comes to you writing certain scenes and certain dynamics, you can actually showcase that element a little bit more. So kind of like in the Seven Daughters of Dupree, like family is a huge theme, but communication is a huge issue in the Seven Daughters of Dupree. So how I forgot the sister's name, not the sister, but I forgot the mom's name, but one of the moms, when we get her POV when she is younger, how her and her mom communicate, like how when she comes back home after a certain situation, her mom is just like, oh, you're here. Like the fact that communication is very cold and distant, based off of a situation that happened prior, and how they communicate with each other. And that also leads to how Nadia communicates with her daughter, as well, and that kind of family dynamic that really struggles, in terms of that, and how it implicates the story and how the characters move throughout the story. So if that makes sense, hopefully this helps when it comes to like breaking down, when writing a story, hitting certain aspects of your theme along the way to make sure that your story actually moves cohesively. Hopefully this helps you guys out. I feel like it helps me to just see that a little bit more and like hone it in, versus like these are just the story beats, but like kind of tying the story beats to the theme. So like when it comes to, especially when it comes to talking about like the B story, which is one of the story beats, it can help you navigate what that looks like based off of your theme, which branch it is, and how to write that scene and like break it down. Like, oh, maybe they have a miscommunication in this scene, or maybe this person doesn't communicate outright. They do a lot of nonverbal communication. So maybe like stomping, slamming doors, giving the cold shoulder, different types of way like that when it comes to showcasing communication. Even though it's not verbal communication, it's still communicating, and how that ties to your main theme. Hopefully this helps. If you like this video, be sure to like it, comment below what you have found so far in your themes, your theme branches, what works for you. If you haven't done that part, that's fine. Or if it's taking you a little bit more time, that is cool. You could drop down the stack of book emojis. And until next time, stay magical.